Good morning. Today's class is called Starting an E-commerce Business. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different things today. If you have questions, please put them in the chat and we'll try to answer those as quick as possible. If you would please put in the chat what type of business that you have currently, or if you're looking to start a certain type of e-commerce business, we'd love to have that information from you so that we can tailor some of our message to you guys. Okay, before we get started with our presentation, I want to put a plug in for the State of Nevada Department of Business and Industry. They're a great partner that we have here. They have a tool called the Roadmap, and it's a downloadable PDF. If you go on their website, it's business.nv.gov. It's got all those yellow boxes there. You can download it, and it shows you where to plug into the ecosystem in Southern Nevada as far as the small business community goes. So if you need help with any variety of issues, you can click on those, and all the resource partners that have information to help you are there. And so it's definitely a great tool. We always plug that for the state of Nevada. We haven't had a tool like this. They were the first ones to kind of create something that ran across every, whether it's state, municipalities, local, regional, it's all there for us. So like I said, they've been a great partner with us, and we're happy to promote their cause because it promotes all of us here in Nevada. So our agenda today, we're going to talk about building your own online e-commerce store. We're also going to talk about some big brand solutions that are out there as well, product sourcing, and then an action plan to kind of jumpstart this off. Now, today is going to be an overview of some of the basics of e-commerce. If you're not completely familiar with it, it's something that's here to stay. We were talking about this in our class last night. E-commerce has really taken over. If you look at your holiday shopping this year, how much of it have you done online? And I have to admit, I really enjoyed, I purchased something the other day from a Target, right? And it was very simple. I got on the app. I was going to purchase this item from Amazon. However, it was out, and Amazon said, we found the same item in England. We can ship it over, but it won't be here until after Christmas. And I went, I wonder who else has it. Went on to Target's app. They had it, and ended up purchasing it from Target, and I was able to drive by and pick it up at the store. And I hadn't done this before, where you buy and then come and pick it up on site. That was pretty efficient, very effective. I enjoyed the process. It was very streamlined, and there we go. So the ability to use our smartphones and just to purchase things is here to stay. And if e-commerce is here to stay, if you have a brick and mortar operation, if you sell anything retail, if you're just looking to get into the space, there's so much opportunity that's out there right now. And so that's why we're talking about this today. Okay, so our first one we're going to talk about is Shopify. So Shopify is a platform that was created exclusively for e-commerce. Okay, that's what it exists for. Shopify is a platform that you sign up with. You can build your own site right on their platform. So you log into your Shopify account, and you have your platform right there. It is robust. It can do everything you need. It can scale with you from 5 products to 5,000 products. It has absolutely everything that you need, and it works very well. So it's kind of a e-commerce solution in a box for you. So some of the prices on Shopify: the basic store costs $29 a month. More advanced stores, if you're selling a decent amount of products, you probably want to be about the $79 range for this, and it goes clear up to about $300 for that. Okay. So you can start your store very easily. They give a 14-day free trial with it, where you just set up your thing, get on there, set up a store, start messing around with things, putting products in and seeing how it works. Shopify is very streamlined. Like I said, they were created exclusively for selling products at an e-commerce level. Okay, so Shopify by far is the most popular e-commerce platform. If somebody wants to start selling products online, Shopify is one of the first places they will go to. Okay, like I said, it was built for e-commerce specifically. So this is what they do. This is their specialty. They didn't start in another business and move into this. This is what they do. They have tons of apps and plugins, and there's templates available for everything. So it makes it super easy. You can get started with Shopify today, and by this afternoon, you have a store that's up and running. I mean, it's very simple to integrate and get going. The cons to Shopify is it's expensive. Like I said, it has everything you need, but because of that convenience, it's probably one of the most expensive platforms that we have as far as that stuff goes. Now, Shopify, you upload everything onto that. That's your platform. You build it out as you see fit. We talked about this yesterday. There was a little confusion sometimes on who owns what, and do people actually go on Shopify to shop? No, people go to your website, so it's all branded for you. Shopify just runs the back end of it for you. They run the whole entire site. So instead of having your website, you have Shopify is your website. They just run the back end of it. So your customers don't see Shopify. They may see a little logo at the bottom or something, but the experience is branded to your own company. So just remember that you brand it, you do that. That's what some of these platforms do. So like I said, the downside is that it is expensive, but it has everything that you need for starting up. Square Online. I'm sure you've heard of Square. Square is a payment processing company. It was founded by Jack Dorsey, who is also the founder of Twitter. If you've gone to a coffee shop or anything where you put your credit card in, or you scan it, and then the register turns around, you'll see the Square logo on that thing. They kind of pioneered point of sale system. So Square Online is just an extension of that. So they started out, like I said, as a payment processor, using smartphones to actually accept credit cards from people. They're really great to work with. I like Square a lot. Square has a lot of options. If you're a retail business, if you're a service-based business, like I said, restaurants, they have entire point of sale solutions. Square's even become a bank. So they do all sorts of things. And one of the offshoots is setting up an online e-commerce business. One of the benefits of Square is it is free to set one up. So you can build the website with it. Square's owned by a company, or Square owns a company, or they bought a company called Weebly. And we teach a video on using Weebly to set up a website. It's a built-in browser website. So they've kind of taken that format. And so there's templates and things that are already pre-done for you. They have some of the lowest credit card processing fees that are out there as well. So if you have a brick and mortar operation where you're accepting credit cards, or you're looking for a solution for that, you can do that as well as run it here. So that's one of the benefits, I think, to using Square. Their professional stores are $12 a month. At their highest, it's $72, much cheaper than Shopify. It's a little bit different of an animal, but it's a lot cheaper. So on the positive side for Square Online, Square, like I said, owns Weebly. So they bought this website builder. I believe the Weebly brand will be going away in a couple of years, and Square will have Square Online, and they're going to be moving mostly into e-commerce stuff. So like I said, originally they are a payment processor, right? They take credit cards really easily. So the integration of having the company, for example, when you use Shopify, you have to also have a credit card processing company. You can use Stripe, you can use PayPal, you can use Square, you can use any variety of solutions from your bank. With Square Online, they are the processor, so you eliminate a whole step in there. It's also nice if you actually use Square in a brick and mortar capacity. it automatically integrates with your point of sale system. So your accounting is seamlessly done. Everything's accounted for at the same time, and your reporting and all that is hooked in together, which is really nice. It's very easy to set up and it's free to start. That's some of the pluses to it. One of the negatives to it is this isn't what Square does natively. Shopify is an exclusive e-commerce platform that was created to sell things online. They have the most robust set of tools that are out there for that. Square, it's not their main focus, so they kind of are playing catch up a little bit. Does it work? Absolutely. If you have less than 100 products, this is a great thing for you. If we're talking about managing inventories and things like that, Square does that for point of sale systems in a restaurant environment or in a retail environment. It's not their main focus, but they're catching up very quickly to that. So that would probably be their only negative that they have. Next one is WooCommerce, and WooCommerce is a different animal, and I'm going to explain why. WooCommerce is, and I don't know if anybody's heard of WooCommerce. WooCommerce is the #1 used e-commerce system, and it is not a standalone website. You don't log into your WooCommerce site and build a WooCommerce site. You don't do that. WooCommerce is a plugin that you use in your WordPress site. So it's on the back end of your WordPress system. You simply install a WooCommerce plugin, and it's free, sort of. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you have to have a WordPress host account. You have to have a hosting account with WordPress installed, and then WooCommerce is a plugin that is inside of WordPress. So you work through your own website. WooCommerce simply works in your site. Whereas Shopify is a standalone platform that you log into your Shopify site, you build it and do everything on their builder and all that. Same with Square Online. They're a standalone platform. WooCommerce isn't its own platform. It works in the back end. Okay. So you have to set up your store. The graphic over here on the right kind of shows you how it is inside of your WordPress site. Now, some of the drawbacks to this, we'll talk about in a second, is it is on a WordPress platform. There is quite a large learning curve when it comes to WordPress. And sometimes you have to hire a developer to be able to do advanced functionality. But as far as payment options, shipping options, everything, WooCommerce handles absolutely everything. I had a client that I was doing some web work for, and their WooCommerce store, she sold jewelry items, and she had about 100 products, and each product had 7 or 8 different colors. There were colors, there were size options, and there were finish options. You imagine this is a lot of variables that go into something. So when you're going to buy something, we had to have options and drop-down menus for sizes. So small, medium, large, extra large, for say a necklace, right? And then we had to have descriptions that changed every time we selected those. And then we had to have different colors that changed, and there were different patinas and finishes that changed as well. WooCommerce supports all that stuff. If you're shipping internationally, you're shipping domestically, WooCommerce integrates right in with all the shipping companies. It's very seamless. It's a very robust platform, and like I said, it works inside of WordPress. So if the drawbacks to this is, or if you don't have a WordPress site, you have to have a WordPress site to be able to use this. It's not a standalone product. They also have an app on your phone that you can manage all of your stuff. You get a dashboard that shows you where everything is at. You wake up in the morning, check your phone, and see how much you sold overnight. That's kind of a cool thing. That's one of the best things about e-commerce. Don't you like to wake up in the morning and having made money? I think that's an amazing, amazing thing, right? I do. I like that. I like checking email and seeing I got some sales last night. That's pretty cool. It also gives you live shipping rates, tax calculations. It figures sales tax rates in every state. It figures shipping rates. You can even print your own labels for shipping at home with this. So it really is a very robust system. So like I said, the pluses of this, it's a WordPress plugin. WordPress is the most popular web platform, with over 2/3 of all the web is being run on WordPress sites. It's definitely the most popular because it's run on WordPress, which is the most popular web design platform. It's going to be the most popular plugin just because of that. And it's free to start, okay? Now, like I said, some of the negatives to it are when you get into it to customize a lot of stuff, it's really simple if you're using Shopify or Square Online to customize your stuff as you need it. To get stuff fully customized, you probably need a developer that understands WordPress and understands WooCommerce inside to do it. I had some difficulty on a site I was working on. I had to change, like there was some coding involved because we had there were some advanced issues with the site. We had to actually code parts of it, and so that can be something that's tricky if you have some advanced stuff that's going on. Also, it's free to start, but there are a lot of little fees that they add. If you want to add certain functionality to it, that's another $2.99 a month. That's another $4.99 a month. That's another $9.99 a month. Depending on what you have, it gives you a complete set of things. There's probably 100 different options that you can install into your WooCommerce area, and each one has its own set of costs to it. Like I said, the basic stuff is free, but when you start adding functionality, you may add another, $50, $60 a month onto this plugin for full functionality of what you have. Completely customizable, but they're ticky-tacky on the fees a little bit. All right, now we're going to talk about our big box retailers, our big retailers. Amazon, okay? Amazon is huge, as we all know. When you log on to Amazon.com and you're like, Mike, wait, I can sell stuff on Amazon through my business? Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, more than it's 66% of all sales on Amazon are done by third-party vendors, people just like you and I that have small businesses, okay? So when you log on to Amazon.com, if you scroll clear to the very bottom, it says sell on Amazon, become a seller. And this is what pops up. And they have the benefits of these big brands are they have a lot of learning inside of their systems that teach you how to work with them, right? So Amazon's huge. Amazon accounts for more than 50% of all e-commerce sales globally. I'm going to say that again. 50% of all e-commerce sales globally go through Amazon, even though it may be handled by a third-party vendor. And 66% of those are handled by a business, which is great. One of the best things Amazon has is they came up with a program called Fulfillment by Amazon, FBA, they call it, okay? So Fulfillment by Amazon, it's a service that helps businesses grow by providing all of Amazon's logistics, network, everything you need to get going. One of the tough parts about selling on Amazon, and I don't know if anybody's had this experience, when I first started selling on Amazon, I'd sell a book. Let's say that I have a book at home, I want to sell it, I put it up for sale, I get, I set the price on it, maybe it didn't sell, I have to reset the price, I have to negotiate it a little bit, make sure it goes down, and then I sell it. Now I have to wrap the book up, I have to print a label, I have to go stand in line at the post office, and I have to ship this thing. Okay. And oops, the shipping was more than I thought it would be. It's a little tricky to kind of estimate this stuff. People don't like to pay for shipping a lot. We're getting used to Amazon Prime, where I don't know about you guys. When I shop on Amazon, I look, who's got free shipping, right? I hate to pay for shipping. We hate to pay for shipping. As humans, we hate to pay by the hour, and we hate to pay for shipping. I don't know why. It just strikes us as wrong. So somebody's got to work that into the cost of the product, right? And so I would sell things on Amazon, and I go, man, I didn't make as much money on this as I thought it was. Kind of a pain to go mail this, stand in line. I'm buying packages, boxes, all sorts of stuff. Fulfillment by Amazon, what they do is if I have a lot of things that I want to sell on Amazon, I pack them into one container. Amazon gives me all the labeling, the shipping, and everything. They send me everything I need. I send one box to Amazon and they pay for the shipping to get this to them. Okay. They then put it up for sale and you negotiate the price. You work it out with Amazon. They have some recommendations. Of course, they don't want to price it out of the market. You set your price with Amazon, and then Amazon handles the fulfillment. Amazon handles the shipping. So literally somebody goes on the site, sees it, wants to buy it. What Amazon wants is they have this in their warehouse. That means it's not late. They can't, it's a great program. So they have all these already in their warehouse, and then they tell you when they're about out, and we need more, so you can see your sales stats. However, the drawback to this versus having your own website, like a Shopify site, or just your own website where you're running WooCommerce on there, one of the drawbacks is you're going to have lower profit margins because Amazon takes a fee out of this. The fees at Amazon start at about 15%. Okay. So they're going to take the fee out of this for you. You have to pay for credit card processing just as you would on your own website, but there's also this 15% fee that will come out of your stuff, which is okay because you don't have to do any of the marketing on it either. If you have your own website, you have to market it and direct people to that website. If you have a Shopify site or a Square Online site, or you have your own website that's running WooCommerce in the background, you have to do all your marketing, all your branding, all everything. And then when people go to your site, there you go. On Amazon, it's already handled. When people search for things, they want to give them the product, and you've already shipped them a box full of these things, and they just ship them right out, and they tell you how much they sold, and every 10 to 15 days, you get a deposit into your account from Amazon. It's very streamlined, very slick. So great service. It's a little different than what you would expect for e-commerce. So like I said, 50% of all e-commerce sales come through Amazon. They're the biggest person in this marketplace, and we can't not use them. You need to be working with Amazon. Fulfillment by Amazon, 66% of those transactions are done by third-party businesses, just like you and I. What's also great is for these big box places, they're popular brands and they're easy to scale. Okay, if you have a product that you can sell 50 of something or 5,000 of something on Amazon. That's a little trickier to scale if this is your own business. If you got an order for 5,000 of something you've been shipping 10 and 20 of a week, and all of a sudden you got a 5,000 order, you're crippled by this order, right? Amazon can handle that sort of scaling, which is great. So the negatives to working with a big box store, and they all have the same negatives, their fees are higher, okay? Like I said, they start at 15%, so your profit margins are lower. Your actual amount of sales, the number of sales that you get is higher, but your profit margins are lower, okay? And they can kick you off if they want to. This is their store and their platform. It's not your website with WooCommerce running. It's not your Square Online site. It's not your Shopify site. You can put whatever you want to sell on there. Let's say you have a shirt that says you're selling some t-shirts and it says something that's politically incorrect on it. If Amazon doesn't like it, they can kick you off. If they don't like how you're selling, they can completely eliminate you off their site, just like any social media channel can. It's Amazon's store, not your store. Your products are just going in there. If they don't like your products, they won't let them on their store. So that's a negative to some of the big box places. Okay, we got two more big box places we're going to talk about. Number two is Etsy. Etsy started as a place for creative individuals that were creating little one-off productions, whether they were paintings, jewelry, handmade clothing, whatever. Etsy started like that. They've gradually moved into other things, but Etsy is a great place to go. People know this brand name. It's wonderful. So like they say, join the creative marketplace for millions of shoppers, spend billions each year purchasing directly from creative entrepreneurs like you. They have a full suite of education and support tools for you to use, which is wonderful. And you can simply start selling immediately on Etsy. They help you out through this whole process. Like I said, it's the same process. When you go to Etsy.com, scroll down to the very bottom and it says sell on Etsy down on the footer, and you click on that and it takes you there. People go to Etsy to buy products, right? People go to Amazon to buy products. Once again, people don't go to Shopify to buy products or to Square Online to buy products. They have to go to your specific store. So Etsy is a great place to sell things. I know someone has a jewelry business, sells exclusively on Etsy, does very well, doesn't even have a website, has just an Etsy store, does all her retail sales through Etsy, and is extremely happy with it. The back end is seamless. They give you everything to print on the labels, the pack, for your packaging and everything like that. Now Etsy's different. They don't have a fulfillment by Amazon type program. They have stickers and recommendations for how you package certain things, and they make sure that you adhere to these guidelines to keep the brand of Etsy in place. And like we said, pluses and minuses on all these big box stores on Amazon, Etsy, and we're going to talk about eBay in a minute. Everybody knows the brand. Okay, these are household names now. Easy to start, easy to scale. Okay, the negatives are that they take a higher chunk of the revenue that comes out of this. So fees are higher, and they can kick you off if they just don't like the product. Etsy, like let's say there's some sort of a political issue that comes out of, maybe it's like the blood diamonds out of Africa, right? If there's a politically charged issue and you're selling something that's involved in that, they could say, you know what, we've decided not to accept any. They could say, we're not going to sell turquoise right now, and you can do nothing about it. They can, and if your store is exclusively selling turquoise, you're out of business suddenly, right? That's why it's difficult to kind of work with the big brands sometimes. They have a lot of built-in sales. You don't have to market everything as much as you would on your own sites, but they control this. This is their store. Once again, it's not your store, it's their store. They're just allowing your products in, and sometimes they won't allow your products in. Okay. eBay is our last one. So we all know about eBay. It's one of our oldest e-commerce platforms. It's been around almost as long as Amazon. They may have even been around before Amazon. Started off as an auction site, right? And it's quickly come into, it still has auctions, but you can buy a lot of products on eBay. And eBay is great for if you're trying to find used products. If you're trying to find something, something that's a toy from your youth, you probably can find it on eBay, right? You might find it on Amazon, but you probably can find it on eBay too. So in order to sell on eBay, once again, you scroll down to the very bottom of the website. In the footer, it says sell on eBay, and they have an entire area where they teach you how to make money selling on eBay. It's really, really, these big box places have great tools to help small business owners in selling your products. So it teaches you how to list them, how to do all that, how to work on their platform, which is really nice. Like I said, the pluses to eBay, everybody knows the brand. Everybody's heard of eBay, right? Easy to start, easy to scale. Cons are high fees, and they can kick you off. If they don't like what you're selling, they can flag the product. If somebody else sees the product and doesn't like what they're seeing on the product, if you have an adult themed product, eBay may not take it. Okay, they may say, sorry, we don't like this. It violates our terms of service. We don't like the message here. We don't like this, and you're just off. There's no appealing it or anything. It's their store. They own the store. Okay, so we have to make sure that is all good. Okay. So sourcing products. How do you find products to sell? If you're like, Mike, I don't make anything. I don't have anything. What do I do? I want to start into e-commerce. Well, one of the easiest ways to start is to either make or create your own product, right? And this can be digital or it can be physical. Creating a digital product, and a digital product can be an ebook. It can be a font. There's a lot on Etsy. People have these Cricut vinyl cutting machines. People sell files on there that, if you want a baby Yoda, right, from the Mandalorian TV show. I want to cut vinyl out of the baby Yoda. If you go on Etsy, there'll be a file that you can buy for probably $1.99 that works on the Cricut, and you can cut something out. There are people that sell files. I know a lady that makes a great living selling stitch files that work on custom embroidery machines, and she sells them for between $4 and $10 per file. So she creates this digital file once, and it's a specialty file that's used on high-end sewing and embroidery machines. She creates this with some software she has, and the software is very expensive, and not many people have it. So she creates it on the software, and she has to actually line out where the stitches go. And she demos the product and shows it stitched. And she has one of these machines, stitches them out and shows that. And she creates this file once, and people download it multiple times. Every time they download it, it's great. A digital product is one of the easiest and best things to sell in the world. You know why? You create it once and you can sell it a million times, and you have no more cost in it, which is great. You don't have to ship anything. You don't have to do anything. And all of these solutions have ways that you can give a digital download. It can be an ebook that you write. If you're a designer, a graphic designer, you can design on your own typeface, your own font. You can design just about anything. You can sell photos, stock photos. You can sell clip art. You can sell just about anything. You can sell classes and courses. So digital products, one of the easiest to use, to do. Also, now we have ways that you can create your own physical products. If you're a woodworker and you make these really pretty picture frames, you can sell those on Etsy tomorrow. It's really great. If you have a 3D printer, there's a whole marketplace on Etsy. If you can type in 3D printed whatever, people are selling 3D printed creations, which is really cool. And so you can go on there, and so let's say you invest in a 3D printer that costs you $1,000. You can be selling these products for $4 or $5 a piece all day long on Etsy or Amazon or any of these online stores. Okay. Creating your own product really gives you full control over this process. You have higher profit margins because it's yours. You don't have to source it and buy it from somewhere. You do have cost of goods in the materials if it's physical, but if it's digital, like I said, you create it one time and then you just profit from that every single time that's downloaded. I can't stress that enough. That's the easiest way to do this. Okay. You can also source products. So you can look around and go, I'd like to sell something. And you find a product you want to sell. You can source that product from a domestic source or from an international source. It's up to you. Wherever you can find the product, you can import that into the United States if it's from an international source. There are special rules and regulations about importing things. You do have to pay import taxes on those when you bring those into the country. But what's great about this is you can bring in pieces of a product that you assemble here in the United States. And there are certain tax advantages to doing that, where you don't have to pay the import tax. It's delayed. So we have this thing called a foreign trade zone in Las Vegas, and it's a great program. It's administered by the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance. And what it is you set up a secured location in a warehouse where you have a physical thing that's locked off, and you can fly your inventory in, you can ship it in via truck. What happens is you receive it into your warehouse, and then there has to be some sort of production that happens to it. It has to be transformative in some nature, right? And so you can actually bring in the pieces, and then you fabricate your product inside of this warehouse, and you sell it into the domestic market, but you don't pay the taxes on it until you sell the units into the domestic market. So the tax is delayed, which is kind of nice. So instead of having to pay all of the importation taxes up front, you can wait to pay it as it goes out. So for example, I know a guy that was importing printers. He had printers built in China, and he'd import the printers in. He had packaging made in like Vietnam that was printed. And when it would come from China, he'd have to open them up, take them out of the box, repackage them, and then he'd have to add a US power supply to it and instructions in English, rebox it back up. That's production, right? So he didn't have to pay the import taxes on all the items that went into that until it went out the door. You can also take stuff, if let's say you're selling something like coconut oil, right? So you're importing a giant container of coconut oil from Brazil, and you have this vat of coconut oil that you're now going to repackage into smaller bottles to sell into the US market. So you can buy the bottles from somewhere, you can buy the caps to the bottles, the lids, you can buy the packaging from another location, you can buy the oil from another location, import those all into your warehouse, and they stay in a locked in area. You then have to tell the federal government how many of these items you're putting into the domestic market every month, and that's when you pay the taxes on that one finished product, which is really it's a great program to use. So you can source your products from all over the world. Okay. Also, manufacturing products. You can manufacture products yourself. So if you find something that you would like to sell, or maybe you start sourcing products, you import them in, or you find them here locally, you're selling them on your store. The next step is to actually make that product yourself. Not you yourself. I mean, you can create your own products if you have like a 3D printer, or if you're a woodworker or something like that. Let's say this is a metal product. You can have that manufactured in another country. You can design it. You can work with the factories themselves. You go back and forth, and then you can package it yourself. You can package it here. You can package it there. You make your products in bulk runs, and then you can sell those on Amazon. So it's a great opportunity that you have, that you can create almost anything that you want to. I attended a presentation with a guy that his top product was it was a 2-gallon, it was like a kitchen jar with this food grade lid that went on the top that you'd put pasta or something in, rice or whatever. So he had them in 1 gallon and 2 gallon, but his 2 gallon was the most popular one. And so he had the glass was manufactured in China, and then the food grade lid he had to make in the United States because of certain FDA requirements, right? And it was more expensive for him to ship all the glass to the United States and have them put the lid on and instructions and all that stuff. He actually manufactured the lids, shipped the lids to China and all his literature to China, and they added it and packaged the whole thing. So then it would show up, he'd pay all the taxes on it and put it into the market. And he was selling through Amazon, doing the fulfillment by Amazon program, and did really well. I know somebody else that he manufactures, it's like packs of kitchen utensils, right? Stuff for cooking and things. And he had them all manufactured in bulk. So he would get, 3 giant pallets full of these bulk boxes that just had nothing but had 150 stirring spoons in it, and serving forks and different things. And he and his girlfriend used to take the products, and they had their own packaging equipment. So they had the backs on the packaging, they had the plastic manufacturer already, and they would literally take it, put it in the pack, and glue it and seal it together. They had this thing that would seal it. So you have to do all that yourself, but their profit margins are huge. And because they were combining the products, they could sell a combined pack for $14.99 on Amazon that people would gladly buy. But they purchased all the pieces separately and manufactured and put them all together themselves through the foreign trade zone process, which was just wonderful. So you can find products anywhere. It's just a matter of making the numbers work to make sure that it happens. And in this case, you also can create your own brands. Both these people I talked about created their own logos, created their own branding, called it something. And it was their own branding, their own packaging. They designed everything. They had to, get their own UPC codes on it, everything you need to sell in the domestic market. And it's great. And then from here, you can export to other countries. What's great about the international trade zone too, foreign trade zone, is if your products actually get sold in like Canada or another country, you don't have to pay any import taxes on them at all, because you're re-exporting the product. So that's another definite benefit that's there. So there's a lot of options that you have for starting an e-commerce business. You can start with your own product. Like I said, the easiest way is to create a digital product that you can sell. Put it up on Etsy, put it up on eBay, you can put it up on Amazon, write a book. Look at the music industry. You can sell songs almost any place, right? You create a little piece of music, you create some sound effects, you create it once, you put it up for download. Every time that's downloaded, you may make $100 a month on that, but that's $100 a month, right? It starts at $100 a month, and then 5 years from now, you may be making $500 a month on it. But if you have 10 products that are out there, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's how artists really make money, if you can do that. Okay. So also physical products. Physical products, if you're printing on a 3D printer, you're creative in some aspect, you can make whatever you're making, you should be selling online. You can also source your products, domestic or foreign markets, or you can do custom manufacturing where you become your own brand. You create that, you control the entire supply chain at that point, which is nice. The alternate difference to this is if you go into more bulk manufacturing. I know companies here in Las Vegas that manufacture in bulk, and they have high-end equipment and tons of employees, and they actually manufacture products that are exported all over the world. So it's it can be a very lucrative business for you to find something that works. You have to find the right combination of products that are sold at the right price point. So is there demand for the product? And you can do all this research. Amazon, eBay, Etsy have products that are on there. If you have something that's comparable, better or better quality at a better price or a comparable price, you'll probably be competitive in the marketplace. So that's sourcing products. So here's your action plan. To get started in e-commerce, first and foremost, you need a product. Start with one, okay? I know that sounds dumb. It's like the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Create your product, whatever it is. Start with a digital product. Get something out there. You learn by going through the process. You do this 5, 6 times, 10 times, you'll become very proficient at doing it. Your first time setting up an online store will be a challenge, just like everything the first time we do it is a challenge. Think of it, none of us came wired to learn how to drive a car, right? We're all born not knowing how to drive. We all have to teach ourselves at some point how to drive a vehicle. That's why we have driving schools, or our parents taught us, or you just kind of figured it out, and some of you are still trying to figure out how to drive, right? But you want to make sure that the more often you do this, the more repetitive, the easier it will become, okay? Also, select your best platform or platforms. I would probably say you should be on more than one platform. I always advise have your own website where you can sell from your site in case there's a problem. Like I said, if you get blacklisted or your product gets dropped from Amazon or something else, who knows? You could have a product that has some chemical in it or something that all of a sudden becomes dangerous or deemed not good all of a sudden, and they could say, hey, we've decided not to sell your product. It's harmful to whatever. You've ever picked up certain things in California? It says California has deemed that this product's hazardous to your health. That's a problem if you're selling in California, right? So you got to make sure that you've got your bases covered. We always want more than one platform here. So set up a WordPress site with a WooCommerce backend to it. Start to sell your stuff there. Also put them on Amazon, put them on Etsy, put them on eBay. Okay, you're not limited to one platform. You can sell across the board on platforms. Okay. Figure out a plan for product sourcing. If you are already looking for product to sell, find something that you think would sell in the market. Do your research, okay? Amazon has some of the best statistics, and they make them available to you on this Fulfillment by Amazon platform. They'll tell you how much stuff is selling for, where it is. They recommend your price points. I mean, it's really easy to work with these guys as far as this goes. Like I said, there's lower profit margins, but there's a lot more support. And also your back-end management plan, okay? If you have your own website, when that order comes in and you get the email notification you sold something, you have to go to work at that point to make sure that that product gets packaged into something to be able to ship with. You get it to the post office. You have to be able to be on top of this stuff. If you don't send that out like immediately or same day or next day, people will stop buying from you. Okay. Amazon, eBay, and Etsy handle that, and they handle it a little bit differently. But like I said, the Fulfillment by Amazon thing takes that out of your hands entirely, which is kind of nice. But you have to get in the habit of, hey, I've got this back end system. I need to be checking it every day. I need to be working through this and making sure that I have enough inventory and where it's at. What's great about the back end management thing is it'll alert you when your products get low. All of these systems have ways to track your inventory, have ways to track how things are going with sales wise, so that you can have enough product on hand. We've had a lot of supply chain disruptions this year, and that's been kind of a tough process. I ordered some Christmas gifts, and one that was supposed to be here before Christmas won't be here until New Year's. They just alerted me, right? That doesn't make for a happy customer, right? So you got to make sure that your back end plan is good and that you're in it to win it for this business. Okay. So thank you. That's our presentation today. Our website address is extension.unr.edu/BusDev. And I want to tell you about our virtual classroom that we have up there. So if you go to extension.unr.edu/BusDev, we have a virtual classroom now. We have over 130 videos completely free to get on. You don't even have to sign up, in both English and Spanish about every variety of topic, including this class here today will be on the website there next week. You can get on and learn. We have full-length classes, and which are about an hour to an hour and a half in length. And then we have shorter videos that are 3 to 5 minutes. They're quick tips and how-tos that come from those classes. And we're going to be starting our podcast is going to have some episodes up starting in February. And we're really excited to be able to present this to the community. We just rolled this out here a couple of months ago, and we've had a really great response. So we highly recommend you to get on here. If you got a minute to jump in and learn, that's awesome. Thank you very much for being here with us today. Appreciate any feedback that you have, and wish you happy selling online, and just jump out there and do it. Jump out there and do it. You can do this. Thank you.